Hello there and welcome back. Today we talk about space echoes, one of my favorite delay, reverb, ambient, whatever effect. I have on loan a Boss Space Echo Re202. I own a original Space Echo Re201 and a new analog tape delay from Echofix called Chorus Echo EF-x3. So initially I wanted just to compare these two, and we're gonna mostly do that, but also we will introduce some of the Echofix too, because of course it's something that has built on the heritage of the historical delay landmark that the Space Echo is. So I will use the analog Rytm, the 303, and some chord triggered by the Odyssey made on the UDO Super6. It's gonna be, as usual, not a scientific comparison, but mostly to understand if the things are close enough to, buy these instead of spending a lot of money on the other, or what, of course, are the benefit on having a bigger unit. I believe, and I want to put that we live in a time where you can find a lot of great tools for a very cheap entry point. So you should do just music. The fact that you can maybe not afford a $4,000 delay shouldn't prevent you from making music, because of course we can use hardware, but there's also a lot of plugin that emulates these things, and sometimes they do it even in a more convenient way. Before going on, as usual, the few ways you can support: hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this content. Then you can buy from the affiliate link down below. You pay exactly the same no matter what you buy. Just click the link and buy a cable and I'll get a tiny percentage. Maybe if you buy a cable, I will get cents, so then how can I buy pizza? And last way you can support, the best one, be a Patreon, where we can have a one-on-one conversation, where you can access hundreds of exclusive video, and so on and on and on. So what were we listening before? Let's play it again. I'm gonna deactivate all the effects. So, channel 1 is the kick. Then I have this line of 303, is the Avalon, that's a clone of the 303. Then on stereo track 3 I have the chord triggered by the Odyssey, and on stereo 4 I have the out of the Rytm, that is this hi-hat, whatever. So as you can hear, the sound is pretty dry. I decided to use only Space Echo, not any other reverb, not any other things that I have access to, just to test them. And I want to just start introduce the Space Echo on the 303, and let's listen to the different way it sounds. So first, let me get to the basic thing, and let's go through what the Space Echo is, right? Because it's important. Space Echo is a tape delay. How a tape delay works: there's a tape inside, there's a recording head, and then after the recording head, several different heads that read what the recording head put on the tape, the distance between the heads, the playing heads and the recording, it's what actually create a physical delay in the playback. More heads mean different rhythmical pattern that can happen. So they all have 4 heads, and as you can see here, each one of these delay has this round big button that select different modalities. Let's listen to that with this. So this is the clean sound coming from the UDO. So let's feed it first on track 1. On aux 1, I have the Space Echo. Let's turn it on. I will turn off the volume, the reverb. So this is the original Space Echo. Now, as you can hear, the Space Echo, the original, has 3 input, 2 mic and 1 instrument. With this is interesting because you can actually crank the gain, and as you can hear, you get a very interesting crunchy vibe. Then you have here a way to deactivate the dry signal, which I did, and then here bass, treble and reverb, and down here repeat rate, that is the time, intensity is the feedback, and this is just your volume of the echo. And then in the output stage you have high, medium and low level. That's it, simple. It's beautiful sounding, classic. Let's listen to the emulation. So I will feed with aux4, and let's also pick so the Re202 from Boss has similar control. So this part is exactly the same, and then you have a saturation and wow and flatter. That saturation, of course, saturate the gain staging at the input, which goes quite different than the original, I have to say. Then you have 2 input, guitar or line, we are in line right now, and then tape, new and aged. So the age probably introduce more crinkles, more wow and flatter, that we can also push with this. A lot of you, I'm sure, look for this kind of Board of Canada woof sound, and the wow and flatter is what you want. So in the old tape echo, it's really hard to get that unless it's very old. For example, it's impossible to get it in the chorus echo unless you turn on the chorus with some trick. Let's compare back to the other. So the first things that come to my mind the analog one, the old one, the spring delay sounds really different. They are very close. The kind of sound, the kind of vibe is there. Let's remember, this set you up for $2,000, this probably 3 or 4, and this is $300. So, also it's portable, made in metal. I really like the how it look. It's similar to the other one, the DM101, which is very, very beautiful sounding. So it's very convenient, especially for live, for you know, you don't want to bring this live. And the sound is there. Let's listen also to the EF-x3. So I feed it, it's here. Original, this, and finally this. Let's also introduce reverb. I already feel three different characters. The original has a very darker tone. I love the spring reverb mostly on this one. The chorus echo is hooked up on my board, and it has its own channel. It's very beautiful sounding, could be very clean, could be very dirty, but it's of the most more modern, not modern sounding, but it has a lot of conveniency in use. So it's basically, yeah, it has all the good of the vintage unit with the perks of a modern thing. Plus it has a chorus. I did a demo, so go check that out. The little Boss, it sounds pretty brilliant to me, because it's very nice. Let's listen on the 303. Original. So of course this two doesn't have tap tempo, this does. So another things to keep in mind. Original. Let's move now to the space to the Boss. Another things that you might have noticed, this is stereo. So now you feel a bigger stereo situation. I now put mono, so it's more fair. Let's go back to the original. If I wouldn't tell you the transition, probably you wouldn't notice. It's still more open, the new one, but it's there. And now let's bring in back to the original, and let's bring in the Echofix. Oh, here it is. Let's go back to the original. Here the spring reverb, how the clickiness, it's excellent on the vintage one. Instead in this one, it's not there. And I have a theory why. There is something, of course. And then this. So the theory is like, this is a new unit, so the spring is still stiff and it will get more loose. This one is, you feel it, it's a very loose spring, and it's because it's 40-50 years old unit. On the Boss, you can definitely feel that is a more hi-fi sounding, no matter what, even if you make it more distorted and without a flutter, it sounds, I would say, better. It's more like a plugin would sound, like my Valhalla delay, which is not bad at all. Let's listen to different division. So I have to put 5, 9, and 5. And let's listen. As you can hear now, there's a different pattern in the delay because we are using a different set of heads. Let's also crank the volume. I think it's where the magic happened. Let's listen to the Boss. For example, it's harder to saturate the Boss as the original. I feel in general with digital pedal, the saturation when you want to crank the sound is still not there fully. It's not that I use that a lot, but I think it sounds good though. Very nice. Chorus Echo. I can saturate here. The Chorus Echo needs way more volume gain to really feel the noise, the clinkiness of the spring. Sounds great. Let's change to another 10. I write down the different combination because the number doesn't match, of course. This is nice. This is the original, and this is this one. Send this to this, and then let's add some chorus. Nice. The trick that you can do here, as usual, is feedback to itself to create the dub delay that grows and grows. I can do it only with the Chorus Echo because it's feed into itself, so I'm not gonna do it. Let's listen also on the percussion. So let's feed the percussion to the original. One way I like to use the original is reverb only, to create this interesting thing. Sometimes I sample this kind of sound. Let's send it to this. Let's send it to the why is it not working? Why is it not working? Oops. Here it is. Sometimes I actually am guilty to send a kick to the Space Echo because I like to hear this spring. Let's listen to the other. This is this one. See how the character of the spring is very different. Now we are listening to just the spring. This is the Chorus Echo. This is this. the original, and now back to the... So I still feel the best spring reverb come from the original. Then this. This is the part I like less, is the emulation of the reverb. But I have to say that when you put everything together, this pedal is really great, and the reverb really is calibrated to work with a kind of delay. So, great bangs for the buck, I think. There's one thing, like it's really hard to use the spring reverb with a long repeat rate, intensity, I mean. It will really muddy up listened. So usually if you use delay, I always have to keep the intensity low or the reverb almost to zero, while with the Boss you can have more things going on. Well, that's about it for today. As usual, I don't like making comparison in the main which is better. Well, everything has a use. If I keep this one and they leave me this one, I will use it probably for live situation, and it sounds good. Of course, when you have the original things, you are kind of forced to use the original things, right? And I'm lucky enough to have also a chorus echo, so it is never enough. Yeah, it's always enough. I have more than I need, but I hope this was useful, and I feel honestly that if you stick with delay, this sounds really close to the original one. And when you bring in the reverb, it works it works in tandem with the delay. By itself, I wouldn't use it just for the reverb. This is my 2 cents. Okay, I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, and